You know, it's been a while since I reviewed a comic book run, let alone a comic book run on a character that's not all that popular. Hmm, let me think. I know! How about a review on Swamp Thing's original run from 1972? After all, his first book does celebrate its 50th anniversary later this year. Swamp Thing, a character whose publication has been all over the place and isn't really known to most general audiences, despite the amount of adaptations that there's been in the last 40 years. I mean, do people even know that there's more than one human that becomes Swamp Thing? Or that the original wasn't Alec Holland, it was Alex Olsen? Or that his first crossover with a superhero was Batman? Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. I gotta stop that. The story is, Alec has highly valuable bio-restorative research that potential buyers want, but he doesn't want to sell it. When he can't be convinced otherwise, they plant a bomb and it explodes, and his body mixed with the swamp vegetation and his formula turn him into the Swamp Thing. The story told in House of Secrets number 92 with Alex Olsen plays out similar, but the motive, instead of being out of greed, it was out of jealousy and love. Both first appearances end in tragedy, and in Alex's case, Linda dies, and Matt Cable, despite not knowing them for long, swears revenge on the Swamp Thing for killing them. Yes, Lieutenant Matt Cable believes Swamp Thing killed them. Lots of interesting subplots all set up, and I just have to applaud the creative team. It was lightning in a bottle. Alec Holland, after turning into the Swamp Thing, is a tragic character. He can hardly talk, so he mainly stays silent due to his formula. He is no longer human and can't feel pain. Throughout the original run, he becomes more and more reclusive and jaded by what he sees, which would make any man feel the same way, not knowing that optimism is much of an option in his situation. He's filled with a lot of sorrow, and I just feel bad for the guy at the end of most issues. Someone cut him a break. Just one. One break. I wouldn't say Alec is a hero, but he's more so a good man that has heroic moments. Matt Cable is the character with the most development and the one with the character arc, which I thought was well done throughout Lin Wynn's initial run. He's a stand-up guy that doesn't give up, can hold his own, and someone that truly cared for Alec and Linda. He sees their deaths as something that happened because of him. You could say he feels guilty for what happened. Abigail Arcane. Well, hello. What do we have here? This beautiful little lady is the voice of reason when Matt gets consumed with his goal and makes him see reason. She's a good second mind to have on the case as the book progresses, and she's got a medical background. Jefferson Bolt is someone that comes in halfway through the book's run and has the same motive as Matt Cable, as he's placed there to give Matt reflection of what he looks like from a third-person perspective. But aside from that, I can't really say that Jefferson has much character, and he seems to be more of a liability than help, at least past his first few appearances. I feel like there wasn't enough time for him to get much development because of the shift the book took later on. I'll get to that when I get to that. Jefferson could have used more time to flourish as a character, is all I'm saying. The writing is dark and well done, as the seeds for each story is planted at the end of each issue, giving it this seamless connection, and the whole mystery of the conclave who was behind Alec and Linda's deaths are great. There's also a lot of really good standalone issues throughout the whole series. There's numerous ones. The creative team of Wynn and Wrightson worked closely, and it shows as their run on Swamp Thing was monumental for the character becoming a hit right off the bat, with them using mainly fantasy elements and gothic horror, with a sprinkle of sci-fi to drive their stories. Let me break down how a usual standalone issue for Swamp Thing goes. He roams a swamp or area and gets roped into some abnormal occurrence, because a lot of the adventures Alec has aren't normal ones per se, where you fight a supervillain and the day is saved at the end. There's a lot of emotions riding high on paranoia and the unknown with their own motives, and you can just see a lot of the uglier side of it all. And that's what I meant when I said the writing was dark. For the time, I would dare say the writing would have gotten a mature rating if that was a thing back then. Also, is it just me, or is that swamp that he roams around haunted or something? There's something about it to me that's just otherworldly, from the numerous bad occurrences that happen within to the atmospheric presentation of the artwork. Speaking of which, Bernie Wrightson's art is iconic. You can tell just by looking at the art that it is indeed just that. I love the artwork and the way that it was inked, very moody art. The creature designs are unique and varied. It's pure gothic horror at its finest. Despite everything I said about the series, I do believe that it should have been a 13-issue limited series at best, because after issue 7, all the questions and mysteries are solved, and after issue number 22, that's when my interest started waning, because it looked like they were going in a completely different direction with the book, and going with different places when all they had to do was figure out what story to go with what pieces they already had. And now I know why some say the last few issues of Swamp Thing are infamous issues in the character's mythos, and why most choose to ignore it. It's because it was changing course out of nowhere. Can't blame them though, since the book's sales were plummeting, and they were doing whatever they could to keep it alive. It didn't work out though. After canceling the book during the production of the 25th issue, Swamp Thing was regulated to guest appearances and other books. David Michelinie and Jerry Conway did a good job of keeping the book alive after the original creatives departed. Jerry Conway most notably took away Alec Holland's otherwise happy ending away in the late 70s. Swamp Thing was laying dormant in obscurity until Wes Craven made a movie adaptation of Swamp Thing in 1982, to which DC responded with giving Swamp Thing a second chance and a second run. But that is a saga for another time. I will give Swamp Thing's original run a high recommendation. And while Alec's first run ended abruptly, his story is just beginning. I'm Lena Mars of the MCA Productions crew, and I'll see you next time.